Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to this now. The Department of Employment and Labour led a blitz inspection in and around Gqeberha and the Eastern Cape. It focused on the agriculture, manufacturing and steel sectors. The department has been conducting quite a number of such operations at some establishments in the hospitality sector as well. Let's get the latest from Viwe Mlenzana, Acting Director General of the Employment and Labour Department. Good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. Let's just start first with the operation. What were you able to uncover today?
No, thank you very much. Thanks for having us. Yes, we're down in the Eastern Cape this week as part of our minister's 100 days of bringing service to the people, Minister Meth. So yes, we visited a couple of sectors while we were here, the agricultural sector, the iron and steel sector, as well as the automotive sector and the fisheries sector. Well, so I must say that the automotive sector generally have been compliant with labor laws. So is the iron and steel. Iron and steel, there have been some issues in the past. We had visited them and they've ironed out some of those issues. So we're happy to see some progress there. We are also happy to notice that even in the farming sector, there have been some good improvements. However, we remain concerned about the fisheries sector. There's a lot of non-compliances that we've picked up there. And
what kind of non-compliances?
Basically, most of the issues that we've picked up relate to non-compliance with the Occupational Health and Safety Act, also some contraventions in as far as the basic conditions of employment, and there have also been some issues around non-registration with the Unemployment Insurance Fund. So those are some of the labor laws that we found that there's been some poor compliance around.
And what happens now in that regard?
Well, so the relevant employers or companies have been given contravention notices, and in certain instances there have been prohibitions. So they'll be given a number of days to correct some of those findings. For instance, in as far as the wage issues are concerned, to an extent that people have been underpaid, those will have to be corrected within 14 days. And where there are issues in terms of health and safety, those will have to be corrected within 60 days, failing which there could be fines levied or even prosecution for that matter.
And I'm sure you've seen this, that of course there was talk that one of the farms possibly that would be visited would be Spesbona Farm in Hanke, which there were claims that, in the past, they were employing more foreign nationals than locals. What did you find? Was that the case? Did you go there and what did you find?
Well, look, without necessarily naming the specific employers, that we visited, the issue of undocumented, foreign nationals seems to be pervasive, as evidenced by the work that we've done so far. Look, even some of the factories that we visited today, there is non-compliance in as far as the number of foreign nationals that are employed, which are occupying positions that ordinarily should be occupied by South Africans, because these are non-skilled positions. So we're concerned about that. Mm-hmm. And obviously we want to see some improvements in compliance, because obviously the Employment Services Law, obligates us to make sure that there's compliance with at least that particular piece of law, where non-skilled work and semi-skilled work should be given to South Africans.
Now, when you found that to be the case in some of these places that you visited, especially with some of the foreign nationals, for example, occupying these positions that you're talking about, were the employers receptive to what you are putting forward as some of what is required by law of them?
I think, it's difficult to say whether employers are responsive or not. I think they're trying to find ways and creative ways to work around some of the gray areas within the law, which is why we are revisiting some of the legal provisions in this particular area to make sure that we tighten up in certain areas that we might be finding difficult to enforce.
So you are being called upon. I'm sure you've seen a number of South Africans are saying you need to visit more and more establishments in order to be conducting these particular, operations. Is that the plan?
Well, of course, definitely. Not only are we planning to visit more operations and establishments within the country, we are planning to increase our own capacity. Currently, we have a complement of about 2,000 inspectors. We want to increase that quite substantially. We want to have a look at also intelligence-based intervention, which is based on risk profiling. And we want to slowly build up that capacity to ensure at the end of the day that there is general compliance. What we are after at the end of the day is to improve compliance with the legislation of our country.
And as a final question, I wonder if you have this information at your disposal. We saw in some of the operations that were conducted before, there would be, some arrests that are made there or some people that are found to be underage. What's the latest in that regard? Did certain people appear in court according to your knowledge, or what has happened since?
Well, I'm aware of an underage child in Limpopo that we found at around, I think the age was about 14 years old.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that is of grave concern that we would see employers doing such things. So I just need to follow up and check the latest in as far as the court appearances or any other developments around that, and we will keep you posted.
All right. Thank you so much for that update. Appreciate it. That was Viwe Mlenzana, Acting Director General of the Employment and Labour Department.